Okay, to start off, you need a bowl that's big enough to mix your ingredients in. You need a little extra room, so about twice as big. This is 5.5 cups of bread flour. We get our bread flour at Costco. It's about $12 for a 25-pound bag. Anywhere else, good bread flour is like $9 for a 5-pound bag. So you just kind of have to shop around to find that. So in 5.5 cups of flour, we are going to put 1 tablespoon of salt. You can use less salt if you want to. We do most of the time, but I'll just use a tablespoon this time. And then 1 package of Red Star Active Dry Yeast in there. I'm doing a bit of a different bread today, so I'm actually using this instant sourdough bread, and I'm going to use that instead of the Red Star. But you can use this, and I think I found this at Fred Meyer's too, the instant sourdough. I'm gonna give that a try today. So salt, yeast, flour, and then I'm gonna start out with 2.5 cups of pretty warm water. Not too hot, but pretty warm so that it activates the yeast. So we're gonna start out with that. And then I use this nice rubber spatula type spoon and just kind of start around the sides and mix and mix and mix and mix. And just kind of keep mixing it, scraping the bowl down a little bit. You're going to find that the flour kind of accumulates at the bottom. So when I add water to it, I kind of move stuff out of the way and pour the water into the bottom. And that way you don't get flour sticking in the bottom down there. And what they tell you to look for is what's called a loose, raggedy dough. It's not completely all put together in like a firm ball. It's looking pretty good. So you can see it's just kind of raggedy looking and not all balled out or anything like that. And that's about what you're looking for. And then scrape the sides down real good. Set it in the bottom of the bowl. And then cover it with either a towel or a lid, but don't fasten the lid so that the bread can gas off. It emits gas. And we're gonna let this sit for at least 3 hours. Okay, so it's been 3 hours. Our dough has risen nicely. Now at this point, if you're just making plain bread, pull the dough away from the sides of that bowl here. If you're just making plain bread, then you really don't need to do too much to it at this point. Put some flour down on your countertop so nothing doesn't stick. By the way, one of these dough scraper thingies is super handy to have. Almost mandatory. All right. As you can see, it's really sticky. That's why you need the flour down on your countertop so it doesn't stick to your countertop. Now, if you're just making straight bread, that's about all you need to do to it right there. I'm going to clean this bowl out and then I'm going to oil it. Then you can put this bread right back in the bowl, put the lid back on it, and it's going to rise for another half an hour. Today, I am putting cheese in mine. So I've got my cheese right here. Kind of spread it out all over the dough, and then you're basically just going to keep folding the dough and kneading it. You're going to need to keep more flour down as you go because it's still really sticky. it out. Some more cheese. So this is going to end up as a sourdough Asiago roll or bread. Just keep folding and kneading so that it distributes the cheese evenly in the bread. Try not to let your cheese clump too. You want it to be nice and small pieces throughout the bread. And when I was making this, you notice that I said start out with 2.5 cups of water. I probably ended up putting 3 cups or a bit more in there. You just kind of have to do it by feel until you get that shaggy dough effect. All right, that's about where just about good. Still a bit sticky, but that's okay. Okay, so I got my bowl washed out. It's nice and oiled. You can use pretty much any oil you want, canola oil, olive oil, whatever. I kind of like to use corn oil. And then get your big ball of dough and put it back in that bowl. Then we are going to cover it up one more time, set it in a warm place, and about another half an hour. In the meantime, I'm going to preheat the oven to 475 and put the Dutch oven in the oven so the Dutch oven preheats also. Okay, so our oven is at 475. Dutch oven is in the oven preheating. Miley's waiting for dinner. Okay, so our bread has risen, our dough has risen up again. Now we need to take a piece of parchment paper. And then we're gonna grab the Dutch oven. Alright, now here comes the tricky part. We're going to put our parchment paper on top of the Dutch oven there. And get our bread and do a really good flip here without messing it up. And make sure that your parchment paper is around your dough. Sitting in there just pretty. Like that. Lid back on, and in the oven for 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. We're gonna open the oven, and I'm actually going to take the lid off. And if it's not quite brown enough for you, just shut the door and leave it in there for another few minutes. No more than 5 though. I'm going to pull mine here in about 2 minutes, and she's going to be good. I'm going to put it on a rack so that it cools off. I'll take a picture of it when I get it out.